it's kind of interesting. We've been getting all kinds of new talk and regarding Gears of War as a whole. We've been having, from the multiplayer to the campaign, what all is going to be brought into the next title in our beloved franchise. What's next, essentially, is what a lot of people have been asking. And, we can speculate all we want, but as more information's coming out about where we're at here currently with Gears of War, I wanted to, talk about, obviously, with the recent job listings that have been coming out from the Coalition, in particular, the lead mission designer, this kind of leads us to something like a confirmation, essentially, of sorts when it comes to Gear 6. Let's talk about it. With the announcement of a lead mission designer coming to the forefront for Gears of War, and coming to the forefront, really, more than anything, coming to the forefront here for Gear 6, or the next iteration of Gears of War, what it does for us is it confirms that Gears of War 6 is in development currently, and it's probably pretty close to becoming very, very, active development from a campaign perspective. Obviously, they're hiring motion capture. They're hiring now the lead mission designer, which probably the lead mission designer was someone that may have potentially was someone that left the Coalition to work with another development team or whatever the case may be, and now they're looking for a new lead mission designer. So it could be negative, it could be more of a positive. It's kind of hard to tell at this current juncture in time. So let's talk specifics here. There's a bunch of articles that have come out, guys, and I definitely want to talk about this with all of you. So this is coming to us from Pure Xbox. Ben Carey over there, he went ahead and he, in his article, says it's looking like development on the next Gears of War game is ramping up, at least according to a new job listing over at Microsoft's career portal. The post, which is advertising for a lead mission designer, talks about the future of the series and how the applicant will be working closely with the campaign director on the next game. So obviously we already talked about this, but what a lot of people are talking about right now is that this lead mission designer is coming into something that obviously is already being worked on. So active development is kind of like the key focal point here, guys. The next Gears of War title is in active development right here, right now. Now, look, a lot of people look at this as doom and gloom for the Gears of War franchise because we have to wait a lot longer for it, and a lot of people are going to forget about Gears of War, and there's just a lot of kind of drama going on around the community in that regard. But in my mind, guys, this is actually, you want to have the right people there, and you want to have people that want to be there at the Coalition. Let's just say, for example, there was a lead mission designer before they started hiring this new one. I mean, maybe the lead mission designer is actually a completely new role that they're looking for. Like they didn't have one before, and they wanted to bring more hands on deck to help out with the creative juices going on over at the Coalition, to bring some more, different visions and things of that nature. But let's just say, theoretically, there was a lead mission designer and they ended up leaving. Well, obviously, they didn't want to be there, or they, left because they got a better opportunity, or, there's a number of things there. I think you could look at it from a negative perspective, saying that, hey, it's going to take longer before Gears 6 comes out. The way I look at it, though, guys, is that if there's more time needed to build this thing, let it happen. Because if they build it and they build it properly, we will come. Everybody will end up, flooding to this game to at least check it out, because it's been a number of years as we've been waiting for the future of the franchise. And let's just say, the more time that they take here, the Xbox is allowing and allotting for more time for the Coalition, it could really make for a very special title. something that we have not seen in Gears of War for quite some time. I mean, think about it. I mean, the last great Gears of War title, and look, I loved Gears 5. Not everybody loved it, though. I loved Gears 5. I thought it was awesome. But even Gears of War 4 was, in my mind, was a great, I thought it was a great addition to the franchise. Now, some people will say that the last great title in Gears of War's history was Gears of War 3. And I will say that I have a little pushback there because Gears of War 3 was my favorite Gears of War title ever made, and to this day. And Gears of War 3, I believe, I mean, it's my favorite game of all time. So when you look at it from that perspective, yeah, it was my favorite Gears title, but it was also my favorite game of all time. I mean, the Gears of War titles are all, I mean, some of my favorites ever. You know, Gears, Call of Duty, and StarCraft. I mean, those are the big three to me. Those are my favorite games of all time. So it's like, you know, obviously I'm passionate about Gears, but that being said though, you know, if you're trying to kind of build the expectation that every Gears of War title has to eclipse Gears of War 3, look, I want them to. I mean, because I think that was like the peak of Gears of War. And if we would have just kept on, you know, pushing from that point, you know, where we could be totally different. It could be, you know, one of the largest third-person shooter in the world. I mean, sure, Fortnite is out, and that, you know, that's changed the game in general. But in terms of like from an esports perspective, all of that, I think that all of those things could still be happening if we really would have built from Gears of War 3. But what happened was Gears of War Judgment comes out, and that led us to the dark ages of Gears, in my opinion. And then obviously the transition from Epic Games to the Coalition. I've thought that Gears of War 4 as well as Gears 5 were great additions to the Gears of War franchise. They introduced new things, you know, semi-open world feel, escalation as a game mode. I mean, just all kinds of things, right? That really, I think that we're helping to build upon the legacy of Gears of War. But this extra time could be something very special for the Coalition. The more time that they have, the better the title could be, right? Especially with them going on the new engine, that being Unreal Engine 5. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of promise, I think, when we talk about those things. That being said, this isn't wholly surprising. The studio was literally named after the game's friendly faction, but still, we weren't totally sure on what was next for the Coalition after Gears 5. There have been rumors that the Canadian team is working on a different IP to Gears, and Xbox Aaron Greenberg mentioned earlier this year that the studio was focusing on several unannounced projects. Regardless of what else is on the cards, it's looking like Gears 6 will certainly be a thing in some fashion. Recently, the developer all but ended support for Gears 5 when it pulled the game's map builder feature, giving out some handy achievements in the process. Back then, the reason for removing the mode was to focus on future projects. So, you know, a lot of people are asking, would you rather have a Gears 6 come out or the Coalition's new IP? I mean, that's a really interesting question. For me, at least, obviously, my answer is going to be Gears 6, without question. I think that Gears 6 is, you know, the future of Gears of War, so I think that I personally really want to see come out first. Do I want to see the Coalition work on a new IP? I do, actually. I think that would be good to see, you know, how they do with, like, you know, some other projects. Now, my only hesitation is obviously if you're working on other IPs, you're not going to be totally focused on that one thing that you want to be the best at, and that would be Gears of War, right? I mean, because, you know, when I think about other studios out there, some of my favorite studios of all time, let's look at Treyarch. Let's look at Infinity Ward. Those are two of my favorite development studios, and all they work on is Call of Duty. That's all they work on at this point in time. At this current juncture in time, all they work on is COD. Now, Call of Duty, of course, is a lot bigger than Gears of War, but they focus on their one thing. To me, the Coalition should be working on their one thing. I mean, sure, if they want to help assist with other projects, that's fine. My only concern about them doing a new IP, even though I would be interested in it, because could it be something that is in the Gears of War universe, or could it be something that, you know, has a lot of Gears of War mechanics, kind of like Outriders? You know, people can play, made Outriders, and, you know, a lot of people like Outriders for what it is, and it's got some Gears of War-esque elements to it. So the Coalition working on a new IP, I'm not like totally opposed to it, but I just personally think that you need to be focused on one thing. You focus on that one thing, and that's where it's going to be it could be very special for the long term. So to me, I would much rather see a Gear 6 first than the Coalition's new IP. That is for sure. And if the Coalition brings out their new IP first before Gear 6, my wonder is it really going to be like a big project? Like this new IP, could it be just like a mobile game? Could it be something that's like kind of like a Gears Tactics or something? Something really just different? It could, but I would prefer them to be all hands on deck on Gears 6, the future of Gears of War, and then they can work on their own IP on the side for sure. But what do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comment section down below. What would you guys like to see? Would you rather the Coalition work on and bring out the new IP first, or Gear 6 first? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears of War content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.